Welcome back. If I had some sort of dramatic introduction prepared, this is where I'd say it. But yeah, this will be watching unofficially my live stream covering the Tourney to King round 2 match between Tellmarch and Melkor. So without further ado, let's take a look. So it said HC on the table there, indicating Senta handicap, because this game is being played with fixed colors. But yeah, this is otherwise an even game. The players are playing a series of games, and at this point I will rely on audience help to help me figure out what's going on. Was it a best of 3 or a best of 5? I don't remember the format. But I do mention that this is an unofficial coverage. Originally, there had been plans for an official coverage of the match with face cam. And unfortunately, oh, wow, that's what's at stake. Best of 3, if Melkor wins, Melkor takes the match. Yeah, originally there have been plans on Shogi Harbor's channel to be able to do an official coverage, and due to exigent circumstances, that's just not feasible here. Oh, that's good to know. Cool. Yeah, I wonder, did they do a pawn toss? Yeah, it would have been fun to see the pawn toss. Maybe next time. Okay. Or I could imagine a scene where, like, Leo is just looking, like there's a piece face up on one side, the piece face down on the other side, and have Leo pick which piece. Based on that, you get Senta or Gota, like, they have Leo determine the fate of our match. Would be kind of interesting. Yes, why did this only now occur to me? Anyway, so yeah, it's been a long time since I've been playing Shogi, let alone commentating on it. I think this is a Bishop Exchange variation. Um, Both sides are playing a static rook formation. And with our chess community, I've emphasized on many occasions that it's important not to fixate on opening names. That, like, I'm not going to go roasting anyone at my local chess club who is seeking to become a tournament player and asks naively for advice. Yeah, I wondered about this. Sorry, my thoughts keep getting all jumbled here. Um, yeah. Well, I guess also there'd be some safety hazard with Leo doing the pawn toss. Um, so, but anyway, I guess excited in some way. Um, but no, like, I've over the years heard many players, tournament players or club players, asking about this opening and that opening and whatever. And truthfully, um, like, when I'm playing chess, and to a lesser degree when I'm playing shogi, I often get terrible positions, but that hasn't stopped me. I've fixated on what's going to help me perform the best, and not over what do like, what makes me feel good. Yeah, there are tons of books out there for chess that'll help you appreciate one small perspective of the game. And players, I mean, myself included, I forget if I purchased Modern Chess Openings 13th edition or how it came to acquire it, but I've spent time just reading the book, trying to memorize the moves. And then I go to a local tournament or even a statewide tournament, play against stronger players, and just get my rear end kicked because even though I played all the right moves, I had no idea what was going on. And that was tremendously unhelpful and counterproductive. Yeah, first game, what was it they played? They played one of Tellmarch's favorite systems, if I remember right. I'm trying to remember the name of it. The side pawn capture, I think, is what Morinaka refers to it as. Um, or is I thinking of something else? But yeah, this is a very. Uh, they still have an open game with lots of tactics. So this is a very different style. Um, but yeah. Um, Still wildly tactical, so I'm still speaking in broad strokes instead of attempting to calculate what's going on here. Hmm. Yeah, I don't play Ibisha either, so I'm lost, but that's okay. For newcomers, Ibisha, static rook. Furibisha, swinging rook, or ranging rook. It's just a fancy name to say, did you move the rook from the right side of the board to the left side of the board? Um, it has tremendous implications, but yeah, using fancy names for things doesn't make things any easier to understand. Likewise, chess players fantasize over, like, if I just studied the right openings, I'd just be a better player. And they don't do proper data analysis of any kind to try to support this hypothesis. But I guess they find comfort in some way. Like, if I have the books, and if I read the books, maybe I enjoy the books. Um, yeah, memorizing things might help them feel more secure about their understanding, even if it doesn't help them perform better. Um, so, yeah, I've never been tremendously good since, uh, I don't know, I've just never been really good at understanding chess openings or shogi openings. I found more interesting the crazy lines in chess that um, have knife edge tactics and stuff that like any sane opponent would avoid. Yep, welcome. And as I've been playing in chess tournaments over the years and approaching expert, I still haven't hit it. Still haven't put in the effort to try to hit it properly. But yeah, as I approach expert, I've just been playing queen pawn. It's been fun. Um, so yeah, should I back up and attempt to explain these past 20 some moves? I don't think I'd understand it anyway, but um, oh, that's cool. Bishop 5-5 is something I tend to play a lot. Um, that's fine. Bishop 5-5 gets played a lot. Or sorry, it's something I tend to play a lot. I found is more effective if both diagonals are open. Um, like, I'm curious what Senta has in mind here, since, like, I probably would have pushed the rook pawn 2-4 before dropping this. Um, then again, I'm currently rated 1 Dan. My highest rank or rating was 2 Dan on this site. Who am I to criticize these moves? Um, but yeah, if I were playing Shogi Wars, I'd just push pawn 2-4 and pray it works. Which might not be the right attitude. Or rather, I'd just be playing gold 5-8, really. I don't even know which gold. Um, hmm. That's interesting. Pawn 7-3. I didn't. I forgot that we had the pawn. Um. Hmm. That's interesting. So I guess there's a tension between placing the only pawn you have, admittedly in a position where the pawn couldn't be dropped on any other file anyway. So you could go Fugire, blocking the bishop. Um, or you could have a more open position and hope for some tactic later, where having the pawn in hand might be useful. Uh, but I'm not seeing, like, it doesn't look like Gota has a strong attack. Sure, Gota's taken initiative here, but probably not in a lasting way. Oh. Hey, look, it's option 3, guys. Look at me prevaricating over things that don't matter. It's delightful. Um, yeah, that covers the 2-4 square, too. Wait, is this scary? What's scary about it? Like, a bishop and a rook are almost worth the same. They're not the same, but almost. It's not chess. Took me forever to get over that with studying this game. Um, I guess what's... Oh, there it is. Pawn 2-4, despite my comment saying that this stops pawn 2-4. Truly, I am the greatest commentator. Well, this is fun. Still don't see what's scary, though. No, that silver walked right up there. You might notice that Senta's lost a couple pawns, and Gota has a promoted bishop. But Senta was doing something. Rook 5-5. Hmm. Hmm. It, given my record-finding tactics thus far, what can I say? Oh no, that was a pawn capture on 2-4, but still a fair question, I think. Well, no, I guess pawn takes pawn on 2-3 was threatened. Oh, you don't know why Senta pushed pawn 2-4. I guess to threaten pawn takes 2-3, and to open the line for the rook. I feel like my commentary might be worse than useless, because I just can't read the tactics. Well, that's the question. Does it lose the pawn or win the game? I wonder. Um, yeah, like earlier I remarked that I was just considering moving either gold to 5-8. Um, I was not super comfortable with this horse just sitting right in front of my king. This horse that can move pretty much anywhere to defend anything. Like, this is not how I would favor playing. Um, I don't know what to suggest. Hmm. It's quite a dynamic position. At present, there isn't an obvious place to drop the rook. But yeah, the suggestion of exchanging bishop for rook and then rook drop 5-5 is interesting. This position, can we agree that this is at least a really wildly tactical position? That it's a bit difficult to read. Um, so, if there are short-term reasons for a thing that are more tactical in nature, those might justify the things that we don't understand. But as for being eager to exchange the rook, I mean, the rook's blocked by the pawn on 8-5, right? And pushing the pawn on 8-5 isn't going to happen anytime soon either. Since this is not the world's greatest rook. But it is a really nice bishop. So that might be part of the calculus too. Uh, I'll defer to other people to explain tactical things because I don't understand the tactics. I don't play static rook, so I don't really understand what's going on here. You know, I do see a fun possibility that if pawn 8-6, what if silver takes? And then if you do pawn 8-8, then you just march the knight up the board demon killer style and see what happens. That could be fun, right? Hmm. Well, neither player is backing down. Senta has 18 minutes on the clock. Gota has 25 minutes. So one player has been playing faster than the other. I wonder if that will change here. Like, hmm. And I don't mention the time situation to suggest that either player's in any sort of time pressure. But when my high school team went to state, at least my first time, our team captain had recommended, I don't want to see anybody lose a game with over a half hour left still on their clock. So, in that experience between us amateurs, like we didn't have like a European champion or such among us there, but among us amateurs, yeah, we wanted to emphasize just having the best experience that we could, not getting overly tense about it, and spending our time is totally fine. Even if you lose the game on time, whatever, it doesn't matter. The clock is your the clock exists to supplement the game, not to replace it. So, I guess in that vein, I could comment on the ongoing chess world championship. There was a game decided either by resignation or timeout. It doesn't really matter which, because the game was trending one way anyhow. But I do quite enjoy the notion that 81 Dojo and the Shogi tradition have brought. It's similar to the Go tradition, that Byoyomi, This countdown mode is excellent for ensuring players have time to think without. I've also played in like chess tournaments that have increment, and those can tend to take forever because you get increment every move, unlike Byoyomi, and to a lesser extent delay, which I found confusing for many reasons, but increment games with a large increment can take a long time. It also can take a very random amount of time. Games with delay or Byoyomi are more predictable, so you can still have a large delay, and still organizers are willing to hold these events, and tournament directors and whatever are available to do whatever they need to for the duration of all the games. So I think like the chess world could learn a thing or two from adopting long delay, like delay 60 seconds, or Byoyomi 60 seconds. I think both of these things could immensely help the quality of games without hampering tournament organizers or players' experiences. Yes, there are. You might consider it fair or unfair or what have you, that it favors a slower player. But I think quality of game moves is quite important. And I mean, years ago we had a tournament at the St. Louis Chess Club. I wasn't present, but I saw an image where these players were playing, I forget the time control, but it was a blitz time control without increment, without delay or something. And by the end of it, there was blood on the clock. And so, like, this idea of playing without increment because we can't have a large increment, and having a small increment would also be sad. It's just not how things are supposed to work. Games should be played with either Byoyomi or multiple Byoyomi or long delay, like delay 30 or delay 60. I think Chronos, as well as many other game clocks, do support Byoyomi. But yeah, it'd be easier to sell the concept of delay, especially because players better understand it. But then players will ask, like, well, can't we just do delay 5 seconds like we've always been doing? No, delay 5 seconds does nothing to help. I mean, it may help slightly, but like this tradition with Shogi and with Go is one worth bringing over to chess world. All right, we got some suggested captures. That's kind of cool. And part of the reason I'm ranting is because I just can't read this. So it's easier for me to talk about general concepts than to try to evaluate what's going on here. Gold 5-2? No. Gold 7-2? 6-2? 7-2. Yeah, my style that's shown on my 81 Dojo badge, and by the way, that's a free badge. If you look at the 81 Dojo website, they give you these badges you can put on your website or your overlay or what have you. They're fun to use. It means that instead of keeping my rook on 2-8, I tend to move it to either 5-8, 6-8, 7-8, or 8-8. In the first few moves of the game. I have a very strong tendency to do that. Although, in recent months, at least on Shogi Wars, I've also been trying the Urashino attack, and it's been just crazy. And that's a static rook opening. So, yeah, swinging rook in this case just means I I avoid all these crazy sharp things, and I try to play these sidelines where the rook moves to the left side of the board, and I build a castle and eventually come up with a plan. That's more my style than this extremely aggressive, opportunistic play style. So yeah, both players are keeping pace. They're both spending time thinking about moves. We have a suggestion, pawn drop. We have also a suggestion of moving this gold forward. I'm not... Okay. We see this gold move forward instead. Hmm. Jeez, this is complicated. I suppose... I was going to suggest that moving this gold forward is perhaps the safer of the two golds to advance. But in a worst case scenario, there might be a piece drop, like silver drop or a bishop drop on 3-9 now that forks this gold and rook in a worst case scenario. I do like... I just want to take the pawn. I'm just having difficulty believing in what Senta is doing here. And maybe the rating system is affecting my perspective. It's not as if you have many other options besides just taking the pawn here. Like, if you retreat the horse back to 3-5, we might see pawn 3-6, and then I'm just at a loss trying to find an idea. I guess if pawn 3-6, maybe you move the horse to 2-5? Just let the rook exchange for the horse? I'm struggling to see how Senta breaks through here. A horse 4-5. I guess. Like, I don't... It's hard for me to understand this position. Yeah, I've been toying around with horse 5-6 here. The problem is I don't see a continuation. There is a proverb. Proverbs can tend to guide our thinking when we are lost. I know when I play Shogi Wars, I use them a lot. There is one that suggests that you want a dragon, like a promoted rook, on the opponent's side of the board. And you'd prefer to have your horse on your side of the board. So, another possibility might simply be horse 8-4. Yeah. But again, I'm saying this from a perspective of being completely lost as to what's going on here. Well, yes, it does seem that way. Yeah, my first impulse is just take the pawn. We're threatening to take a knight, and then we could use the knight on 5-6 or something. Interesting. Well, I mean, we said we prefer having the horse on our side of the board. Um, this wasn't on my bingo card. Like, I did suggest this, but mostly so I could say that pawn 3-6 looks interesting. And I was just about to predict we're going to see the players spend a great deal of time trying to figure out all the tactics. But also, I guess players don't want to spend all their time in this position. If this were a longer game, I think we would have seen a much longer wait. Um, yeah, congrats, it's your variation. Okay, tell us what's going to happen next. No pressure. Uh-huh. Yeah, horse 2-5 is kind of what I'm thinking. That it seems to shut down Senta's attack. Ah, thank you. Thank you, voice of reason. Um, like I don't play static rook. I have no idea what's going on here. We were saying like give away the yeah, so if we exchange our horse for the rook that's on 2-8, first of all, we're getting a rook. Um, second, this silver that's on 1-5 is trapped, and pawn 1-4 threatens to win a silver. Third, there's holes in Senta's position that I see no way to remedy. And fourth, earlier there was some suggestion in some positions of rook 5-5, although it was for the other way around. Um, like, I I'd be tempted to do horse 2-5 here. I fully respect the work you do on your channel. I just don't understand this position. Oh, yeah. Okay. Um, I wish I had something like Chessmaster 5000 or 5500, where I could just push a button and it would illuminate all the squares that are not defended. Um, but yeah, it looks on like if the rook gets exchanged, the 2-8 square and 2-7 square and 3-9 square are the first three that come to mind as being holes. And how to identify them as something being relevant? Well, Senta has no castle, so I tend to think that any hole might be relevant. And if there are multiple holes, that's a lot of things that a player has to check to make sure that these aren't going to overturn the result of the game. Um, okay. Oh. Of course, now it occurs to me that if silver takes 2-4, then there's no Nifu rule, or there's no Nifu on that file anymore. Um, yeah, I'm just magnificent at these tactics, but 2-4 isn't actually hanging, because after silver 2-4, you can just drop a pawn on the rook's head. I kept thinking, like, if silver 2-4, then that's just a clear breakthrough, and you can't drop any pieces to stop it. But um, even though here we can't drop a pawn on 2-7 because of Nifu, if the pawn on 2-4 gets captured, then suddenly pawn 2-7's available. Shogi tactics are hard. um, silver take. Wait. Oh my god. Maybe, probably. It's probably going to be what they play. Just knowing my luck. Um, but no, if silver takes pawn, you just drop a pawn like on 2-7 or something. Maybe 2-6. I don't know. So as much as I was thinking silver takes pawn, I just don't think it's going to happen. Again, I don't play static rook. Um, so pawn 2-6 maybe. Maybe I should just predict what's not going to happen, and that's going to be what's going to happen. Um, it seems to be the way the world works here. So I was saying silver takes silver is not going to happen because that looks scary, and we'll just see pawn 2-6 here. Um, the idea is you want to promote on 2-7, and then drop another pawn on 2-6, and then promote on 2-7, and then drop a third pawn on 2-6 and promote that. And Senta's kind of helpless to deal with it. I'm just. What am I missing? Am I that blind here? Is there something that I've just fundamentally missed? I get that this is a sharp position and many things can happen, but by the same token, I just don't see any of those things. Perhaps also fun might be silver 4-4. That might be a bit much, but the spectators would love to see it. I don't think Senta's king is weak enough for that to make sense. Yeah. Oh, did I predict a move? I see a pawn glowing. Did I actually predict? Oh, maybe not. Oh, there it is. Guys, move 34. I made a correct prediction. Sweet. So, yeah, I've got like a 3% prediction rate, but we'll take it. Yeah, I keep suggesting on Lee Chess it'd be fun to have a feature to predict moves of live games. Just a fun little side contest that measures your actual chess skill. Now, granted, you could find moves that are better than the player's moves that might not actually be played, but that's a different skill. The fun skill is, can you play like whatever chess legend you admire? So, I think for chess that could be fun. I assume for Shogi it could also be fun. It's a great training exercise of being able to predict player moves. If you know what your opponents are going to do, that makes your plans all the more potent, no? So, yeah, I hope that some century will figure out the technology to bring back stuff that was initially made in the 90s or thereabout. Like, I think US Chess Live and perhaps Fix, I forget if Fix had this, guess the move. Welcome. But yeah, guess the move I think could be a fun exercise. That would make watching games far more engaging too. Even Blitz and Bullet time scrambles would be fun. So, yeah, I was remarking here, it looks like Gota's idea is to drop the pawn and promote it, and drop another pawn and promote it, and so forth. Um, I was thinking knight tick. Okay, yep, knight ticks. Cool. Kind of forced. And then the thing players have, yeah, you all been looking at this exchange, taking the rook. Hmm. Oh, that's right. Yeah. Uh, I forgot. I've seen maybe one picture of this in my little study. Um, it looks entertaining to some extent. It somewhat reminds me of Kasparov versus the World, in that it's entertaining, but also takes advantage of the fact that like these democratic systems don't always ensure strongest outcomes. It's good fun though. Okay, what's this? What is the meaning of this move? Oh, that. Oh, you're talking like the prediction that they did, for example, on that one intercultural exchange. That. Okay, cool. Yeah. So the point of this, now that you pointed out, yeah, if king takes pawn, silver 6-1 is a problem. Yeah, I think Tulip's got the right idea. But yeah, what you were referring to when you said voting, yeah, these things where viewers or rooms get to. I mean, maybe there's two different concepts. Maybe both happen. Or one, it might influence the game, and the other, it's just for fun. It was fun. Um, yeah, and that one event that we were all invited to with the Q&A, where Caro helped with some aspect of translation. Um, I forget who was it. The Shogi Club of DC USA that was on the other end, or forget who was our English ambassador. But it was a fascinating event. I felt a bit. Um, I wanted to ask more questions, but I didn't know what to ask. Yes, the players are pointing out that Gota has some threat of pushing pawn 2-7 if the second file becomes plugged. Um, yeah, I remarked earlier how I just don't believe in what this. I don't see how Senta's attack breaks through. And that just might be my own ignorance or blindness or something, but I just don't see it. I'd love to see it. I don't. Um, oh, you wouldn't have found pawn 2-6? Well, I guess this is the time for me to plug the Shogi Fundamentals channel, um, who's been doing a series of videos on types of pawn drops. There's a channel on YouTube, I think, that goes by the name Shogi Fundamentals, where he does like a 2-some-minute video explaining this is um, dangling pawn and striking pawn and bottom pawn and all these kinds of pawn drops and other fundamental ideas. And I appreciate the work they're doing. Yeah. I'm not sure to what degree it watching that influences my identification of moves or candidate moves, but maybe it helps. Or maybe it's just experience of getting bashed over the head a few times by opponents who find these excellent moves. Or maybe it's both. Why can't we learn from our experiences as well as other people's experiences? Why does everything have to be a binary this or that? Perhaps everything can help. Um, Senta's time is ticking. I wonder what they're considering. Hmm. Yeah, I hope that playing in the weekly ladder helps players understand the game better. I feel so ashamed that I've been registering with the most sincere of intentions to play in the weekly ladder, and then, like, real life stuff keeps coming up. I feel terrible for having, like, made the ladder somewhat of a mess, at least in my participation. All right. Well, Kibitzer suggested pawn 2-7 promote. Um, So unless we're like looking at bishop 1-2, like surely, hmm, yeah, such is the way of the world. There is a change I would like to make to the Lee Chess and eventually Lee Shogi codebase to better accommodate correspondence gameplay. Currently, time controls are X days per turn. There's no increment, there's no vacation bank, there's none of that. Eventually, I would like to code that there's going to be X days per turn. I'm sorry, you start with X days on the clock, and you gain Y days per move, up to a cap of Z days. I think something like that could accommodate many players and give them a chance to play correspondence and learn a tremendous amount about the game um, without having to commit to, I'm going to play every day, without also committing to, I'm going to play a game that's going to take 5 years. I think there are ways to make correspondence work better. And the more accessible we make it, the more players can learn. It's kind of orthogonal to the notion of the weekly ladder, because the ladder there is focused on time games. And yeah, I think it's a separate concern. I'd like to see both. Of course, I'd like to participate more in the ladder. I'm trying to get my priorities sorted so I can actually commit to things again. I made a best effort to participate in a recent game jam and spent half a day just getting the tools installed, another half a day figuring out assets and game design principles and such. And yeah, I just had overcommitted on that project. Oh, so I was looking at Bishop 1-2 maybe. A Kavitzer offered the idea of Bishop 3-1. I don't know. Wait a second. Is there Bishop 1-4? Like Bishop drop 1-4? Is that crazy? Yeah. How did I not? It's not Suma, but like, come on. That looks really interesting. If that's not like a perfect counter to this attack, what is? Hmm. We have a disconnection. Alright, so this game is being played with Byoyomi 60 seconds. I think this site is somewhat merciful in that it'll give players an opportunity to reconnect. So, I forget what the reconnection window is. Okay, they're back. And their apologies, but they've returned. Yeah, Bishop 1-4 would have been interesting. At least in my mind. Sure, Bishop 1-2 is the move I came up with first. I guess the bishop's still going to 1-4. Yeah, I mean, there's the Pawn 2-2 promotion, but oh, I guess what you're saying is like Pawn 2-2 promotion actually is playable there. I do wonder though if Pawn 7 or 2-7 promotion wins, um, or loses. Honestly, I don't know this position that well. It's a complex position, isn't it? I will withhold comment on this one. Um, no, I guess it gives the rook space to move. This is a very defensive idea, I think. We have another disconnection
これより秒読みに入ります。
and reconnection. Um, so I'd mentioned, or tried to mention at one point, this is unofficial. We don't have face cams. I know in the chess world, there's a lot of events where they have mandatory cameras. I've been invited to a shogi event where
30
at some
秒
stage in the event, camera participation would be mandatory. I have my own feelings about it, which I don't need to go further into.
40秒
But this is unofficial coverage. We don't have cameras here. So we're not checking if somebody's stepping out to the bathroom or something. We're not doing any of that here. We trust our players.
5 6
Like, yeah, I shouldn't even need to mention that. Granted, like, face cams could still be fun for other reasons, but, um, sorry. I guess I'm just excited and not knowing what to comment on this position. I guess there is a certain level of dignity or something that comes with requiring more and more of our players. And I guess some prestige or something too. So there still are valid reasons to do it. It's just not something that I'm prepared for, nor particularly interested in. Yeah, it's fun to see that. One thing I do appreciate about professional chess tournament games, and does this happen with Shogi a lot? I don't know. I'm too out of the loop. But it's wonderful to hear the players' thoughts about the game. Um, but yeah, by all means, players should also be afforded their ability to review the game together first. And it's not as if they'll have. In fact, they could blog about it later. There's no need to pressure players to ask for impressions. Um, I think if it were at a pro level, and if there were a wide audience, at that phase, it could make sense to ask the players after the game, hey, what did you think? But for the level things we do in the amateur world, it's perhaps not. Um, oh, wow. Sharp stuff, man. Um, well, so for those who don't see it, there's a mate in one threat. Um, I see it now.
30秒
It's been mentioned that if you have the nerves for it, It is to your advantage to
40
use your
秒。
full time, even in Byoyomi. I don't know if this could have been spotted or anything could have been done differently, but
50秒。1、
it's also
2、
difficult to remain
3、
perfectly calm
4、
amidst
5、
everything.
6、7、8、9。
You think Melkor is cooked? Oh, he did. Oh, sorry. Was it Senta that moved quickly? I'm not. I got excited commentating on stuff that was not relevant to the game. Oh, geez. That is pretty severe.
30秒。
Wow. Here we go. Feel the rhythm, feel the rhyme. Whatever's the thing. It's bobsled time. What are the lyrics again? Oh. Oh, geez. That's a King Rook fork right there. GG. Wow, that was intense. Um, what a game. So, yeah, we commented before the game. Well, yeah, we'll let the players review at their own leisure. Um, but yeah, we did mention. So, what's that make the current standings again? Somebody remind me. Because Melkor won game one, was that right? It's 1-1. Okay. So, yeah, those are interested can go to 81 Dojo, or at least those watching live. Yes, there will be a round three at some point. Um, yeah, I might sit around and watch the players shuffle the pieces here. But my overlay is not really configured to capture both the chat as well as the players moving the pieces around. So those curious about live chat commentary can find it on the 81 Dojo website. And it would be wonderful at some point for players to regale us with their thoughts, but it's not. I'm not set up for that, but I think a blog format might be nice. But again, there's no need to demand too much. This is just a fun championship. I think this is best of 3. Yeah. I just remembered the Japanese word for the King Rook fork. Otabisha. Literally King Rook. Or King Chariot, I don't remember. Wait, no, the lance is the incense chariot. Is a rook just a rook in Japanese? It's the language I need to study more at some point. I saw there was this beautiful Steam game, Shashingle, that you would go around, like, taking pictures, and you would get these wonderfully pictures, nice sound effects, and captions with English and Japanese words. I think that could be a fun, relaxing experience to play the game, if I ever find time to do it. I'm always juggling too many things. Okay, here's my idea. Yeah. This is fun. In my mind, this seemed to shut down the attack. Maybe I'm crazy. Or maybe this just accelerates things. What do I know? Quickly check on Discord to see if I'm missing anything. Nope. But yeah, I'm not really configured to capture both the game board as well as the chat, and if I start resizing things, it's not going to look so nice either. But do I go for it anyway? Yeah, I guess so. We've got time. Oh, okay. Well, actually, they're continuing to move the pieces. I think the pieces are more compelling than anything that's going to be said in the chat room. Wait, so yeah, if colors were fixed for game 1 and fixed for game 2, that means that Tellmarch played Gota game 1 and Senta game 2. I suppose that also means that Senta has won both games, with players playing static rook both times. Sharp stuff. Hmm. Guess we'll switch to the other perspective to a slightly smaller board, so we can see comments. Not sure how well this captures on the overlay. Let me take a look. Okay, Melkor prefers this now. Cool. Melkor even goes so far as to say he should have done this. But yeah, he definitely prefers this over what he actually did play. Yeah. I'd recently changed the resolution of my display. And while I have reconfigured many things like the move list to better capture, I've not handled this use case super well because I didn't think it would happen. Maybe what I need to do in my browser is define a minimum font size for all fields everywhere on the screen. I can experiment with it, but not right now. Players do love these opening names. There's Furibisha and Haya Ishida, and I don't follow any of it. Does having the opening names and strategy names actually make analysis any easier? Like, I just don't follow. I guess to the extent you could play a coherent system. Yeah. Okay, so it's kind of in the same vein that people talk about what's your chess personality, or how does this player play? Like, are they tactical or are they positional or this or that? It's all entertainment, except for extremely serious players that actually understand it. Okay, well, I'm struggling to see the pieces, so we're going back. I mean, I've hit 2 Dan on this website and 1 Dan on Shogi Wars with my meager understanding of openings. So I guess, like, the level at which you need to start studying openings properly. Oh. I just had a sad thought. I miss Danberg. He did a couple game commentaries on his YouTube channel, Danberg SC, where he explained this the games he would play, and the style that he is recommended to play in. And so you would see him and his opponent playing ultra sharp, really theoretical stuff. That's, yeah, perhaps the sort of thing that you would study. The English term that was given as encouragement society. Was it Kenshukai or something before or after that? I don't remember. But yeah, if you start enrolling in the program, that those sort of programs, you'd be expected to learn these real systems. I think just by participating in a dojo, even with teaching, I don't know that that's the same. But they still were having an expectation that if you want to learn here, it's good that you learn these openings, so please do it this way. So Danberg shared some pretty extraordinary games where they'd play like 20 some moves of theory, and then some pretty wild tactics would result afterward. Whereas, like, my style on this site, on Shogi Wars and Shogi Club 24 and Lee Shogi, and yeah, I guess Play Shogi doesn't have something like this, but my style hasn't required the heaviest of opening study. Yes, I have watched all of Morinaka's videos because they're wonderful. Yes, I've watched Yamaguchi Eriko's videos. I've watched many Hidechi videos. Oh, then, yeah, of course, there's Road to Shodan. Who could forget that? So I've seen many wonderful videos that help explain ideas. But I've just been, even with the best of motivation, I've struggled with opening study in a disciplined format. And so I'm just more focused on learning proverbs that are generally applicable and working on my tactical reading and endgame practice. And perhaps if I get better at endgames, at Suma Shogi and similar, then perhaps I devote more time back to trying to study openings. But yeah, I think you can get to where I'm at without serious opening study. Well, so should I go back to the smaller board? Because they're talking a lot. Let's go back to the smaller board. Okay, so... yeah, here is really tiny. Welcome! Hello! Sorry, I'm kind of struggling to follow things. Yeah, my overlay's not really set up in a way that can both capture the board and that chat and this chat. Yeah, this is an awesome game. Super sharp, just like game 1. Yeah, it dawned on me that for pro level games, pros can give commentary before and after games. I don't know that we're at a scale where that sort of thing makes sense. But it might. I don't know. Still a cool game, though. Alright, I guess we'll switch back to the tiny board so we can better capture the chat here. Even if the chat here is minuscule and illegible or whatever. Yeah. The other thing that's kind of funny is that, oh goodness, I can't even capture that comment. Dang it. But yeah, as much as players try to read all the tactics here, it's just hard to read, isn't it? But the creative process, I guess, is what matters most. I do get the sense that if Shogi explained or such were doing the commentary, he'd find a way to do an interview format that makes sense. I just don't know how myself to do it. And so this is fine. It's a fun collaborative process to do the post-game review with a ton of people commentating here. Or commenting here, rather. One challenge with post-game review, I guess, is just keeping track of where you are in the review. And that there are many ideas, and that they're all worth looking at. But you can get yourself turned around in circles trying to accommodate everything. Like, I've had some of my own ladder game reviews that do not feature positions this complicated, where we would go off on a tangent for a half hour or longer, and then get back to, well, okay, here's the thing I wanted to talk about. But we first allow the player who didn't win the game to give their grievances and thoughts, if they so desire. Maybe at some point I'll come up with an extension that somehow listens for chat on this window and repeats it into the Twitch chat. That would be an interesting extension. But yeah, for today, this is fine. No, that's entirely fair. Yeah, it's not your fault. We just, like, for all, it's not your fault. I have other thoughts, but whatever. Yeah, indeed, it was a good game. Thanks. Understandable. We'll see. Yeah, we'll see who ends up casting Game 3 whenever that happens. Yep. Yeah, it was fun. It's good to converse a bit. Even if I made one correct prediction. I guessed one move. Yay me. Eh, yeah. Hmm. This is basically why I don't trust this line for Gota. Man. Hmm. All right. Have a good one. Yep, you too. Man, this Shogi's hard to read. It's just so hard to predict what happens next. Oh, wow. Yeah, that's a fork. It's a lucky fork. Asking the real questions. How did we get here? Hmm. Oh, instead of taking 360 of horse 4-5. More active play? Yeah. Hmm. Uh, dang. Hmm. I guess that's the lesson. As if you're playing a championship game. Yeah. Be prepared. We don't know how much of an effect that had, but it couldn't have helped. Yeah, there's so many tactics here about. I can't read it. Yet, there's an irony in it that sometimes basic moves can be super effective. Sometimes. I mean, to some extent, this reminds me the other day, I think it was game 5 of the US Championships, or was it game 4? Um, yeah, National Master John Chernoff, or Zug Addict, and I did our own co commentary of the game and spent like 99% of that commentary fixating on, well, if this tactic happens, then this tactic can happen, and if this tactic happens, then this tactic could happen. And it's all just, we didn't do any static evaluation, despite many times coming up with, well, we'd reach a conclusion that doing static evaluation properly would help us better identify candidate moves and plans and ideas. But then we just didn't do any static evaluation. We just kept going back and finding all the tactics and looking at really wild stuff. Shogi endgames aren't really easy to statically evaluate. By the time you've hit the endgame phase, it's just calculation. And so it's just, do you read better than your opponent or not? Yeah, if you're looking for nuance, it's going to be before both players are checkmating their opponents. But it can be hard to figure out when exactly that is, or what those nuances are. This looks pretty dicey. Not gonna lie. Not sure if that's even the critical variation. There's just so much going on. But it's hard for me to find anything better either. Like, if my endgame calculation skill were much stronger, perhaps I'd be in a position to weigh in. But since I can't calculate, it's difficult for me to suggest anything useful. I somewhat suspect if one were to put many of these positions into an engine, they would find some way to liquidate pieces and get into a more peaceful position and just make us all look pretty silly. That would be hilarious if that were the case. Um, Finding candidate moves is hard. Yeah. Yeah, I'm not gonna push any buttons. Um, I'm just amused at the possibility, that's all. Wait. Did something happen? Nope, my stream is stable. Yeah, Chatty has suggested that all the viewers have left. That's funny. Because my chat client tells me the member count, like people who are in the channel, people who are viewing the live stream, and some third number that I don't understand. Let me put this back up on the big board just for fun. Because I've lost interest in the chat there too. I'll just put this on this display. Trying to think what else I can say. Well, I mean, there's not really a point in my... Like, I'm not following any of this, so... that combined with having driven away all my viewers, there's not really a point in my continuing this either. It's an exciting game. We'll definitely look forward to Game 3, whenever that is scheduled to happen. Hopefully Leo's feeling better, but if not, we'll see. Yeah. This is a really sharp game. I didn't follow most of it. There was some mention of regret that the endgame was so simple. But on the other hand, I think that does, from a viewer's perspective, make the game more instructive. In a way. There's nothing to be regretful or remorseful or something from that angle. So, anywho, I have other commitments, so guess we'll leave it there. Thanks for watching, and have a great day.